So, I think one of the people who made the remark has been rejected as software not received the fee. और मुझे कोई नोट नहीं तो वो अप्रैल में आया था
Requesting participants to mute themselves, please.
अरे सॉरी सॉरी ठीक है ये माइक्रोसॉफ्ट हैदराबाद में प्रोसेस ना था अच्छा टीपी
Anirudh? I'm sorry, but
I could
yeah, hi Divya. Anirudh, the video has not been seen.
Okay, let me retry once again.
Yeah, I think you'll have to, yeah. Thank you, Anirudh. Thank you for the Central Book video. So, yes, welcome to one and all to one more session of Library Solutions for Librarians. So, we thank Central Book again, to provide us this opportunity to bring out these sessions for librarians. So, yes, good evening. I'm Kuntal, co-founder of Kuntal Bhandare, co-founder of Librarian Association. Along with Central Books, we come up with this sessions every week, and this is what we for the librarians. So who are we? We are a group of bunch of passionate librarians who have come up with this small group which started as a WhatsApp group 10 years back, and today we are an association. So we are the ones who train librarians, we run courses, we are called for conferences. And the reason being, sorry, I wanted to show our website, but please do visit our website, Librarian Association. We the sessions that we conduct, we do charge. This is David Central Book, so this is a free of cost session, but Librarian does charge for their sessions and coursework. And the money that we get and the money that we collect through these sessions go in building up libraries. We have built a community library in Igatpuri, Nashik. We donate books every year from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and we train our librarian friends so to become to put fit in a teacher's role as a teacher librarian. So yes, thank you again to Central Book for these free sessions and providing us with certificates. There is one, there's a request that please, when a feedback form is given to you all, please do fill in a very perfect and a correct email ID so that you receive your certificate on that email ID. Once you fill the feedback form, then only the certificates are allotted to you. And please bear with Central Books for a day or two or a three, because there are many people who visit our sessions, and there are many a times that the email IDs are not registered well, and it becomes difficult for them to send the certificates. So please bear with them. At least if the session gets over on Saturday, you might receive certificate by Tuesday, Wednesday. I think that much patience we all can have with these sessions. And please do not spam their inbox with when would I get my certificate. If you have filled in your email ID, right? And we had people who had even questioned us about that the sessions are called for 1 hour, but the presenter does a presentation only for 30 to 40 minutes. But we have to be mindful over here that this is in collaboration with Central Books and Librarian, and we both organizations and association would like to present ourselves to the community and then to the presenters. So yes, the presentation would be not for 1 hour full, because we also would like to speak about ourselves. And at the end, there would be a question answer session. So please, a request to our participants throughout the sessions to keep their audio on mute. I'm sorry, but this brings in a lot of disturbance to the presenter. Please be mindful about this logistic to mute your audio so that there's no disturbance. We have Devki today, and Devki, it's to you now. We would like to really not waste more time on the housekeeping tips. Let's go and deep dive into what Devki has to say today. So yes, up to you. Let's enjoy the session.
Thank you so much, Kuntal. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. First of all, again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank CBS and, of course, Librarian, which is close to my heart, to give me this opportunity to present or talk about what I have tried and have been trying for some years in my school and present my learning to you. And I'm sure I'm going to equally learn from you guys too. So, I'll quickly share my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay. So today I'm going to take this opportunity to talk to you about the library as the third teacher. This workshop today I am focusing on talking to you from the point of view of early years learners. I actually teach right from early years up to grade 5, but today's presentation I am focusing on talking about how I am engaging with my early learners and what are the different things I am doing with them to develop inquiry, provocations, and keeping in mind play, because early learning is all about play. So that's what we are going to explore in our session. Ms. Kuntal, would you let me know if at any point of time if there is anybody who wants to say anything? Kuntal? Okay, I'll proceed further. I would like to start with this quote. Actually, early literacy is where the foundation of lifelong learning and success begins. So, when we talk about early literacy, what does early literacy does is it develops the skills of talking, listening, communicating, speaking, exploring. Earlier, earlier learners are very curious. They are constantly exploring things. They are constantly asking you lots of questions. So if you learn the skill of bringing in literacy into your teaching, it will make a wonderful combination and you will be able to achieve a goal that you are setting for yourself, for your early years lessons. Because as early years educators, we are constantly looking at opportunities to create meaningful learning experiences for them. They should be hands-on learning experiences. I think making hands-on learning experiences becomes very, very easy. The learners enjoy those learning experiences, and I'm sure they have lots to take away from those sessions. Today, I'm going to focus my session on the core principles of Reggio Emilia. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of what is Reggio Emilia. So, Reggio Emilia is basically an educational philosophy. It was founded by Lois Malagigi in Italy in World War II. So, it's a very old educational philosophy, and it basically talks about little kids, young learners being very capable, curious, and they are active learners. So basically, as you all are aware, they all learn from inquiry, they are learning from hands-on explorations, from discovery. Uh, Somebody unmuted, can you please mute yourself? So the more you give them opportunities to go and explore things around them, learning becomes easier. So my aim today is in this next 30-35 minutes, I'm going to try and share as many experiences or my own lesson ideas or things that worked with me. So maybe there might be something that you can take from here and apply it into your own teaching. So the core principle of Reggio Emilia is based on the 100 languages of children, and this is a very beautiful philosophy. It talks about 100 different languages in which children communicate. So I'm sure in libraries or in our own lessons also we are learning or we are trying to see the different ways in which kids love to express. Not all kids are same. Some love to experience through words, some like to draw, some like to do art, some are more into dancing and movement. So I think this connects our philosophy very well with what we are all trying to do with our early years learners. And basically, Reggio Emilia also talks about the environment. So basically, we all are now looking at making our libraries or our classrooms vibrant spaces where we are giving them different stations. They can try and explore different things. They can try. So if I'm done with this task, a child can go and have an experience of maybe going and reading a book. If he or she is done with that, maybe we have a little set of blocks kept. They can build things. So basically, we are building environment, and through these environment and through this play, they are building relationships with each other. So this is also helping them to make wonderful social connections amongst themselves. And when you have you have a conversation with them one on one, it's again with the teacher. Now, when I'm talking about Reggio Emilia, not all the participants who are all present here are maybe IB, PYP teachers. Maybe you guys come from CBSE, ICSE background. But what connects all of these curricula together is we are looking at our learners because they are capable, they are curious. We are all trying to bring in inquiry based and play based teaching for them because we want the learning experience to be a fun one. We don't want it to be a monotonous 40-minute lesson. So we are always looking at ways to engage our learners. We want them to voice what they want to do. So when I begin my lessons with earliers at the beginning of the year, I always try and find out from them what is their favorite topic for reading. So we have a little vote and I display that little chart for them. So in between the year, whenever I get chance, I do tell them, oh, because so and so likes reading a book about dinosaur, let's read a book about dinosaur today. So this makes them feel that, oh yeah, my voice is being heard. What I like is also being addressed in the library. So try getting their voice, give them agency. What would you like to do in our next lesson? Is there any different thing that you would like to try? And mind you, these learners are so smart that they will definitely give you some meaningful ideas. Again, we want our learning to be hands-on and meaningful. We want our lessons to be fun. Like I said, the environment of your library also matters. The more you make it vibrant, the kids will thrive and they will enjoy it. Again, collaborations and relationships are essential. I spoke about it. And the one important aspect added here is reflection. So earlier learners love to reflect or they love to talk about their experience. So what I do usually with them is after the lesson, I usually ask them, what was your experience? Did you enjoy the lesson? What could we do better? Because we as teachers are also looking for opportunities to make our teaching better. And who are the best people to tell us? The kids. So always keep asking them, what do you think? Is there any other thing we could do here to make our lesson a little bit interesting? Keep telling, keep asking them all these questions, and I'm sure you will build that relationship with them. So when we are talking about Reggio Emilia and we are connecting this to library, now how does library here play a role of the third teacher? What are the things that we all are doing in our libraries to make it fun for our early years learners? So of course, I have put in a few points here which I'm sure you all will agree. We all have lots and lots of books in our libraries that the early years love to explore, be it fiction, non-fiction, wordless books, picture books. Just have those resources spread out for them there so that they can explore and they can go through the books. Even if they don't read and write, I'm sure they look through the pictures and they can make meaningful connections. So please try and have a set of books on display and just let them explore.
Okay, session your session ఉండండి ఓకే
Hello.
ఓకే బాయ్ ఓకే
Again, your ideas matter. Their ideas are always important for us. So like I said, what would you like to read? What would you like to do in the next lesson? Keep asking your learners and they will keep giving you lots of ideas. And it's okay to wonder. It's okay to keep asking lots and lots of questions. We in the library are always creating stories with our learners. So you don't have to not necessarily create a big story on paper. It could just be call your learner, and if he or she says today I want to tell a story to my friends, that's okay. He or she wants to create a story visually, or maybe it's an oral storytelling, it's okay, because we are always wanting them to make their own stories and share them with people. And of course, play helps us learn. I'm also going to talk about how I do a little bit of research with early years. So of course, early years, we are doing research with them. So we all are researchers. We all love to write in our own ways. I have specially added this point here, everyone belongs, is because we have different types of learners in our schools. Some of them know a language, some of them are new to a language, some of them maybe are new to English, where we are probably speaking in English. So we want everyone to belong. So what we can do in that case is give that child a book that's in his or her home language for the child to feel that he or she belongs. Maybe they can express themselves through drawing. If he or she does not speaks in the classroom, give them a pen and paper, and maybe they want to express themselves through drawing, and that's okay, because we want everyone in our class to feel belonged. And of course, we all are striving to make our learning and teaching a very joyful and fun experience. This is one of my example of my lesson. This is my library. And as you can see, my class strength for early years is usually does not exceed beyond 15. So we have early years 1, 2, and 3, which is starting from reception, starts from ages 3 up to 5. I have a concept of something called as check-in or routines. So when the kids first come and sit in the library, they know when they before entering the library, they know their routine is that they have to line up their shoes nicely outside the library. They come, enter, and they come and sit on the mat, and they're ready for me to begin the lesson. So this is a routine. Having routines set with your early learners is a great example. This makes them very aware of what is the requirement in the library. So initially, it will take you some time, but do talk about routines. This is what I want you to do. Once in the library, come sit. We will begin our lesson. Then it's time for you to explore the book. However, you want that flow of the lesson to be. Make sure you are giving them that notice or that instruction in advance, and they will follow those routines very well. So I always begin with a routine. So to give you a simple example, one of the routines might be, what is your favorite color today? So maybe the child will keep sharing what is their favorite color. If it's a Monday that I have a lesson, I do tell them to talk about what was one interesting thing you did on your weekend. So this is one great way of kind of building bonds amongst themselves as well as with teachers. And also this starts then helps us set a pace to begin the lesson. So this particular lesson was about learning about peace. Someone is unmuted. So in this particular lesson, because I was going to introduce the concept of peace to my EY1 learners, first I started with when they entered the library, it was like setting the stage. Everyone was super quiet and they were wondering like, why is Miss Devaki not saying anything today? So I just was like making those expressions of, we're not talking today, come and sit on the mat. And then after 5 minutes, I told them to kind of, just close their eyes and calm themselves. Sometimes we all are also working on well-being or wellness in our classrooms to kind of when the kids come from one different lesson, it's always a good idea to kind of just give them 2 minutes to calm themselves down and then begin the lesson. So I said today we are going to practice 2 minutes of mindfulness. We are just going to close our eyes and just give ourselves some time to calm ourselves down. And then I started the lesson with talking about the peace book. So we started first with what is the word peace? What does it mean to you? So there was a lot of conversation about what does peace mean and lots of interactions between me and the learners. Then in this particular picture, you can see we spoke about what is peace, and then we spoke about what is not a good example of peace. So I had a little cutouts of things like hitting somebody, and then I called one learner at the side, and they were telling me whether I should put it under the category of peace or something that's not a good example of peace. So this was my way of teaching this lesson with them. Any questions? If anybody has, maybe I'll keep this floor open for questions at the end. But any comments or anything, maybe you can just hold it and I can talk about it a little later. Next, I'm going to jump into something that is. Somebody is unmuted. Thank you. Next, I'm going to pitch into something called as provocation. This is something that I have been using in my library extensively for the last few years. So basically, what is a provocation? Provocation is a thoughtful design or a display of a prompt that you can set up in your library, which will spark curiosity, which will bring in lots of questions, which will bring in lot of example, lots of interaction between the learners. So the examples could be, you could keep in some intriguing objects, you can keep an open-ended question just like that in the library. You can keep in some natural materials or some scenarios. So in the next slide, I'm going to share one example of a provocation that I had put up in my own library. Oh, no, sorry, that example is afterwards. So basically what provocation does is it sets stage for them to have conversation. So naturally when kids come in, so I don't say anything once the kids come into the library. I have a table set up, they just come in and I tell them go and observe. So when they go and see what is on display, naturally they are talking to each other and they are having a conversation. What are we going to learn about? What is this? What has Ms. Devaki displayed? And then you can see that vocabulary coming in, and I'm just standing there and observing what kind of conversation they are having, what are they talking about. So basically they do have a lot of conversation about things that they see, they question, they do a lot of deeper thinking, they make connection of what they are seeing with the world around them, they are expressing themselves, and then of course later on after the lesson is done we give them opportunities for drawing, writing, acting, responding, or even giving a reflection. So I'm going to quickly now show you an example of my provocation. So there is this very beautiful picture called book called as Mama Panya's Pancakes. And to my earliest two learners, they were very curious about pancakes. So I also wanted to kind of inquire into pancakes. So I did this little display in my library. I did not say a word to them. When the kids walked into the library, they saw this display. So they saw that picture story cards lying at the back. They saw there was pancake syrup. They could see there was an egg, there was a pig, and they were like wondering what is happening, what they were very curious. So I think this is a great example to kind of set stage to your lesson. And they were like, oh, what are we talking about? Are we making pancakes? Somebody asked me, and I said, oh, this is a library. Of course, this is not a cooking lesson. Do you think we can make pancakes in the library? And they said, no, sorry. Probably we are going to read a book about pancakes. And let me tell you, the conversation that we have is amazing. So you are having tons of books in your library. I would suggest go into your shelves, look for the books that you have. Think of what kind of provocations you can set before the kids come in and see what wonders you can do in your library. Next, I'm going to focus on something called as loose parts. So provocation is something that I do frequently with my early years learners and even grade one. I set up something where before the lesson begins to just spike their curiosity to get them questioning. Now, this is loose parts is something that I'm going to kind of I did try it a little bit last year. I'm going to pitch in more into loose parts this year. So basically, what is loose parts? This concept comes from Reggio Emilia, where we put in lots of things that are available around us in the nature or even man-made things to display them into the classroom to build their thinking skills further. So basically, if you want to find out a difference between what is provocation and what is loose parts, provocation is something that you set up at the beginning of the lesson to spike their interest, and loose parts is something like blocks, or you could keep some little natural materials. But these things you can incorporate in your lesson to kind of get them to think about something after your lesson is done. Okay, so I'm just going to, if you could read what is loose parts, I'll just quickly have a sip of water. Basically, again, we want them to be curious. We want them to kind of ignite their curiosity. It develops their language skills. It does wonder. I'm going to quickly put on this little video. It's about loose parts, and it's an amazing video.
Devki, we can't hear the voice. There's no volume.
What happened, Kuntal?
Is there a volume to the video?
Yeah, there is.
I think it's not audible. Can you put on full screen and even share it with volume? I mean,
Okay. It's on full screen. Let me try it again. The volume is on though. Okay. Should I try it once again because it was not full
share
screen?
it with volume, maybe, that's.
Sure.
Till then, I can just say there are queries for certificates coming in. And I had informed before that if you have not given your email ID properly, it's difficult for us to send the certificate. So please see that the email IDs are entered properly in the feedback form.
Sorry, Kuntal, is it audible now?
No, the video is also not working.
That's okay. I'll just kind of escape then. I'll skip this part.
Maybe, yes. Thank you.
Okay. No worries. Okay.
Maybe you can put the link of the video in the chat and they can
Yeah,
see.
sure. I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, so this was another example of loose parts. So basically, like I said, that video does talk about what is loose parts, what are the different things you can display as loose parts. So things from around us, little ice cream sticks, things from nature. Because earlier is all about exploring things from around us. You could bring in leaves, you can bring in wood, you can bring in little sticks of trees, and there is no end to it. So whatever you find around you, bring it, and that will definitely spike their curiosity. So this was one of my lesson where we were learning about market. My earliest three learners were learning about marketplace. And because I wanted them to have a little hands-on experience, I had this little plastic fruits. We had this fake money. We had a little soft toys. We had some trees. We had some little what do you call them? Those little blocks. We had a few things on display, and we were understanding this concept of how how does money work in a market. So this is like a learning experience. So you could explore loose parts the way you wanted because you want the learners to have a little hands-on experience of exploring their materials. So one day I had read a book about trees, and that book was an interesting book about trees. So I had this little, I don't have that picture to share now, but I had those little colorful sticks. I called in learners to kind of make their own trees, shape of trees using those little sticks, colorful sticks. And then they were so intrigued at the end of the lesson to find out what they could create with those loose parts. So there is no end to it. You can explore loose parts and try and make lots of different things. So I don't know. We don't have so much time, but I was actually thinking of giving you some time. If you could just close your eyes and think of a
5:29 हो रहा है.
hello. If you could just think about maybe your own favorite book from your library, from your shelf, and think about what could you use that, what would be the theme to use that book? What are you trying to display that book for? What is the theme that your learners are learning about? Are they learning about money, market? Are they learning about rules and regulations? How do we play with each other behavior? Think about that book. Think about what would you display for your loose parts activities. What kind of natural materials or other materials you could use to kind of provoke or bring in their inquiry or their curiosity. So there is this very Antonio Portis very famous book called as Not in a Box, and to play with boxes is something that is very exciting for early years. So if I wanted to do a lesson on Not in a Box, maybe my loose part activity could be I would have some boxes kept in my library. I would keep some paint there. I could bring some natural materials and blocks and keep there and just let the kids explore. So after reading the book, loose part activity would be keeping those boxes there and inviting the kids to play, inquire and create something out of it. So try this in your library and I'm sure you will see some very wonderful results from there. So maybe I don't think we have this time, but if you create provocations, maybe you could kind of reflect on yourselves. Like after a lesson, did this provocation really work? Did I really achieve that goal that I was trying to set for myself in my literacy lesson? Is there any other different idea that I could adapt in my classroom or in my library? Now I'm going to touch upon the very close to our heart topic, and that is research. Now there is a lot of argument that people have about do we really impart these research skills or do we really talk about research ATLs with our early years learners? Are they capable of understanding what academic integrity or what honesty means? And my answer is yes. So I just want you to take a few minutes to look at this image. And if you were a 4-year-old, how would you find answer to this question? So always I do have, whenever I'm doing sort of research lesson with my kids, we have a lot of visual images that we use to spike their inquiry. So maybe my learners would say that, oh, probably we are going to learn about leaves. Or some might say, are we going to inquire about birds because I can see a nest there? Or are we going to talk about eggs and how different bird eggs look like? So, this brings in a lot of dialogues. This brings in a lot of interesting conversation. And then you as a teacher can ask them questions like, okay, maybe we are learning about birds. So where can we find out more about birds? What are the different types of birds that we have around us? And they will be telling you that, maybe we can look for answers through books. Maybe we can look at different YouTube videos. Maybe I can ask my teacher. I can ask my parents. This is a way you can kind of set in the tone of research in the early years learners. So basically, what is early years research skills? They are constantly wondering, and through those wonderings, we investigate, we try to discover something, and whatever we are discovering, we are sharing with our teachers and with our other learners. And as you all know, our early years learners are very curious, they love to ask lots of questions. And like I said, we tell them that we are trying to find our answers through books. We could find out answers through different materials. Just set out a display of things and they will try to find their answers from there. And the way of documenting children's thinking, especially early years learners, because they cannot write themselves, your grade 1 to grade 5 learners can actually write what they have learned. But how can early years learners express what they have learned through the lesson is through drawings. Maybe they will verbally share what they have learned. Even you taking them pictures of them being curious about your display or having a conversation about something that you have set up is also research, because they are talking about something, they're having a conversation, and of course they love to share their discoveries, they love to share what they have inquired with their peers, with us as teachers. And if they go home and tell them to their families, nothing like it. If they go home and share that, oh, today in Miss Deiti's lesson, we were learning about eggs and we did this, there was a provocation set. This is what we want them to do. We want them to be excited about it. We want them to be talking about it to their parents, to their families. That's our ultimate goal. This was one of my lesson, a research lesson that I had done with my early years 3 learners. They were in their homerooms, they were learning about floating and sinking and water. So what I did is, there's a very popular book called as Mr. Archimedes' Bath. It's a very beautiful book about a man and animal, how they get into the bathtub and how the water is actually coming out. So it's a great concept of floating and sinking. And to make that concept more deeper, I first started with reading that book. So the provocation was not set for that. I didn't have any provocation for that lesson, but we started with reading the Mr. Archimedes' Bath. And then we had a conversation of what is this book trying to tell us? What is the theme of this book? And then the learners were like, oh, we are talking maybe here about floating and sinking, how water is, how things, some of the things float on the water, some of them are sinking and going inside. And then what we did was, in the classroom, or because this was not possible in the library, we went into the classroom. We had a big water tub set for them, and we had picked up some objects which were of course heavy, some which were lighter, which would like float in the water. So what I did was, I was calling each learner one by one to the water tray, and first we were predicting what's going to happen. Each one of them were choosing an object. So some of them chose heavy objects, and then they told me, I think this might float, or maybe I think this might sink. And then they actually did that little experiment. They dropped the object in the water. If it was floating, well and good. And if it was wrong, or if their prediction was not right, they understood, or they knew that, oh, maybe my object was heavier and that's why it went into the water. So here what I'm trying to tell you is, collaborating with your homeroom teams to create this wonderful experiences, which hands-on experiences actually help them understand the concept. So the homerooms are definitely doing what they can, but we as librarians can collaborate and create those meaningful learning experiences for them. So of course you can extend this inquiry later on by reading non-fiction books. So there is no end to it. You can start from one point and you can take that lesson into many weeks and take this further. So this is just like one example of something that I did in my library. So here, what I'm going to do is, I have sorted the other different literacy activities that I do into different aspects. So under storytelling and literacy, I do something called as story baskets. I kind of keep little handmade puppets or things from around nature, and I just allow them to explore. First 15 to 20 minutes are just exploring different things from the basket. So they might pick up an object and draw something around it, or they might start telling a story based on that little object that they have picked up. Again, this is helping them build their storytelling skills, their vocabulary, their listening and communication skills. Then, of course, we all teach story sequencing, which is a great concept to teach the early years. Read a book and then tell them to put the story in the right sequence. This again helps them think critically and they can actually make connection with the story. One great example of building storytelling and literacy is author interactions. We all, as librarians, are constantly looking for wonderful authors who can come and interact with our early years students. It could be a storyteller, it could be a puppeteer. Having those experiences of people are, other than the librarians also helps them build this vocabulary and good listening skills. In inquiry, I have few examples of mystery object boxes. You could just keep something in a hidden box and just kind of spike their curiosity by, "Oh, what do we have in this box today? What are we going to explore?" Have nature trays around you. If you are doing a unit on environment, you can bring in lots of things from around nature and keep them for display. We always are having book explorations or book themes. One week, just have an exploration of non-fiction books and let them look at that and just try and understand, why are these books different? What are these books trying to tell us? It will help them build that connection between fiction and non-fiction. And of course, we are imparting creative literacy amongst them. So we ask them to make a class book, or maybe an individual child wants to make his or her own book. Maybe we encourage them to draw or make their own characters. You could again bring in loose parts, give them little sticks or little things, and they can create their own puppets and they can use them for telling stories. We can do story mapping in loose parts and play. We can always do storytelling with loose parts. We can allow them to build a setting of a story using loose parts. So maybe you can tell your learners what kind of a setting comes to your mind today. Maybe it could be a beach, it could be home, it could be in a school, and just allow them to create a setting using those loose parts. Give them some papers, some glue, and they can create wonders with that. Again, puppets is something, story props is something we all constantly use. Next, with early years learners, what works best is outdoor library activities. Because we are always confined in the libraries, sometimes it becomes very monotonous. Take them out, take them on nice little fields that you have in your school. Let them sit amongst nature, read a book under a tree. Maybe after reading a book, you can go for a little treasure hunt and find out something. These things makes your lesson very, very interesting, and they enjoy doing all these activities. Next, I want to touch upon reflection and documentation. Like I said, I constantly am looking for opportunities where I'm asking my learners to reflect, tell me what worked in the lesson, what is it that we could do better. I think in the last session we had spoken about Jarul Book Awards. So I also asked my earlier learners to vote for their favorite book. Just because they are in earliers does not mean they cannot vote for their favorite book. So I'll share an example later on of what I did with them. We can ask them to respond what they want to say through drawings, and they also reflect on our learning. So here below I have shared one example of my earlier three classroom where I was talking about the concept of school, and we were talking. I read a non-fiction book about school, and I told them, now I want you to document what are the different things you are learning in your school. So here you can see one example where a child has talked about, I learn music, I do information literacy, that is my lesson. We learn swimming in our school. We read lots of books. On the top, the child has written Hindi because Hindi is one of our languages. They also drew about PE. We do art in our school. So this is how earliers like to share their learning. And it's okay if they want to just draw and share what they want to share. But this is what we are trying to achieve in our lessons. Again, there are a few examples. This is an example of an author, Soumya Rajendran, who we had called in for our earlier talk. And she read her book with them, and then she had a little follow-up activity with them. The second picture is of Jarul Book voting. So a few years ago, every year we participate in the Jarul Book Awards. I'm sure everyone is aware of it because last session Miss Ankita had spoken about Jarul Book Awards. So the whole purpose of Jarul Book Awards is to promote Indian literature. So our earlier learners were given the opportunity of actually voting for their favorite book. So if you can see in this picture, they put a stamp on the book that was their favorite book. So I had a printed sheet where all the three picture covers were displayed. They went and stamped a smiley face against below the book that they wanted to vote. They folded that little particular card of theirs and put it in the ballot box. We inked them on their hand, and they had a wonderful experience. So they actually got an experience of voting, something that adults do, and it was a very fun experience. Next, I wanted to share some books that I have, or the books that you could use in your library. I'm sure your libraries are full of beautiful books, but these are some examples that I wanted to give you about books. These are the non-fiction titles about animals, about nature, about plants, about oceans, about space, because these are the concepts we are constantly talking to our early years learners about. These are the themes that we constantly explore. So maybe you could take a few minutes to just kind of look at these. Next, I have some picture books here, that is fiction, that are on different topics: nature and wonder, science and investigation, curiosity and discovery, storytelling and imagination. We have lots and lots of books in our libraries. You could just kind of put them in different themes and start exploring them with your early years learners. Okay. So in a nutshell, so what was I trying to get you, what kind of message I wanted to get through this workshop is that curiosity is something that's part of early literacy. Let them be curious. Let them be asking you a lot of questions. You could change your lessons based on what your learners want. So maybe next week, if they say, "Oh, we want to learn about so and so," do that. Set up a provocation. Have them visiting different stations. Have different loose parts kept for them so that they can enjoy that learning process. Library is more than a place of books. Why is it third teacher? Because it's like an environment. We are creating not only a space for books, but we are creating a place for them to explore a whole ecosystem. It's not only books, but it's all about making the learning experience a fun one. Again, creating provocations helps them wonder, helps them investigate, helps them be curious about something. So start setting up provocations, start getting them curious about a topic. Books, loose parts, and meaningful conversations help nurture storytelling and inquiry. So basically, we want them to be more and more curious. We want them to tell these stories back home, that this is what I did in my lesson, and it gives them that little something that they look forward to in your next lesson. It makes it very interesting. They look forward to these kind of lessons. Every child is a capable researcher, every child is a storyteller, and of course, every child is a lifelong learner. So, this is what I wanted to cover in my session today. I hope I have been able to kind of cover all these different things. So, as we come to closing and as I'm reflecting on what I did, I hope there is one idea that you can take away from my session today. Something that you have learned from today and taking it back into your own setting. Maybe you can start something small. It's not possible that you can start with so many things. Maybe start with setting a routine. Start with starting your lesson with a routine or asking them a fun question, and then maybe see how things get better, and then maybe start with a provocation. You can't start everything at one time. So maybe I hope I have kind of given you something today to take back and inspire you to create something more wonderful for your little learners. These are my slides of credits and references. This is where all my information from my slides came from: the Reggio Emilia approach, the IBPYP approach, the NCF Foundation, the NEP. The NEP of our NEP 2020 is very dynamic, it's very diverse, and it's talking about all these different thematic things. It's talking about making our learners curious. It's talking about making them ask questions, and these are the different authors that I have listed in my own in the presentation. And of course, the credits to photographs are from my own library, which I have used with permission. That's it from me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So if there is any questions, maybe we can take that, or over to you, Kuntal, if there is any other we want to do it.
I see hands raised. So yeah, I can see Nikki. Would you like to? Because I think that hand was raised from
Hi.
quite a long time.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So I have a question, Ms. Devkis. how long is your library session for? Because everything that you've spoken about, I mean, we try to do, but we're limited to half an hour for early learners. Now, half an hour is a very short span of time to cover, say, a provocation. A provocation can still be done, which we do, you know. Currently, we start off with a couple of minutes of provocation, then we have the storytelling, a discussion, and then we also have time for them to choose their books. So,
Uh,
so we have such a short span of time, and to make it as impactful for the learners, as helpful for the learners, how do you suggest we go about it? Because whatever you've spoken about seems like, I mean, we could do it over 2 sessions, but some, because they're so young, the link doesn't always last to go to the next session.
right. Yes, I understand. So why it works with me is my book exchange is different from my information literacy lesson.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
I have exclusive 40 minutes only for teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's just more than our session altogether. I mean,
So
I would die for 40 minutes with my children.
I
Um,
understand. And each school has its own limitation. It
of
has
course.
its own way of timetabling. Fortunately, it works for me because that's how it is for me. I have a
Yes.
different time for them for book exchange where I call them one on one to sit with me and
Okay.
even give them choice of choosing their 4 books
Of
where I
course. So we
encourage.
have that as well. So 2 books, they choose themselves. We lay them out, so they can browse through them. And so that takes about at least 5 to 8 minutes, if not 10. We don't issue them right then and at least let them choose it. And then there's somebody else that's issuing them. And then we get down to, let's say, a provocation or a discussion, or like how you said, just show them the cover page of the book and say, what do you think this is about?
Right.
But I would love to incorporate, say, the loose part playing, which we've done in the past. But it's so time restrictive. So I'll have to kind of figure that out. I was very curious to know how you had so much time to do this. So that's why I asked. Sorry.
Oh, no, 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 no problem at all. So
Please.
basically, it's a lot of planning. And again, if you could kind of, this is something you have to take up with your management. If they
Yeah, of
really
course.
see that literacy developing in their earlier learners, this is something they have to help us with. Maybe give
Yeah,
you a
yeah,
little 10 more minutes of your time. You set everything up, and then it's doable in 40 minutes.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
then their attention span is also not so much. We lose
Exactly.
in like 20 minutes and earlier is done. So sometimes you have to finish that lesson very quickly and then just have to tell them, okay, why don't you just read some books and browse through some books. So again, the lesson
Of
might
course.
not be the way we want it to go. You know that
No,
very
we have to be so flexible. So it's an IB school, so we have to be so flexible and move according to the inquiry that the learners are taking it forward, like how they take it forward. And also, I love the Jarul idea of them voting. Sorry, I'm going to take last 2 seconds, but
well.
and I'm truly going to we do it with the higher grades, grade 1 onwards. But I love how you've included the younger kids. So I think we will try it this year. I think it's a fab idea.
To them,
No.
give them a little stamp of smiley to put it on that book because they can guess it by the cover. Oh, this is my favorite
Yes,
book. They
yes.
just stamp it correctly. And that whole
I
experience was so
I
much
can
fun.
already imagine how excited they would be. So thanks for sharing that. We'd love, I mean, I'd love to do it.
Great,
Yes, no,
Nikki.
yeah, sure.
No,
Sorry.
no, so Nikki, you can be a part of Librarian Association also. We'll send you the group form and you can join. So a lot of
Thank you.
discussion happens there. I would really request members to not put their email IDs in the chat. We are on a public platform and we have to be mindful of our own security. Your emails, God forbidden, can be misused as there are too many members over here. So the form would come at the end of the session after question and answer. Please fill the form, and if there is a problem with email ID, the email ID of Central Book is shared over here. Please write to them. Again, a kind request, please do not put your email IDs in the chat over here, because for us it's difficult to pick up email IDs from here. Please do understand on this end. Thank you. Okay, there's a question over here. There is one question before which says that, do you issue books to early years? I mean, an early is a
I
earlier.
just answered that question that I have two different sessions with earliers. One is exclusively book exchange. All of my earliers learners, grade earliers 1, 2, and 3 have separate book exchange lessons. So they come for 40 minutes, they explore. I set out a set of books for them. I choose those books for them and lay them out, and they choose. They use their voice and choice to choose the books that they want to take home. So it could be a book in I try and bring books in their home language. One is fiction, one is non-fiction. encourage them to take these books home and read with their parents, of course, because they cannot read by themselves.
Yes.
The whole point is parents read out to them. So yes, we do have book exchange for early years learners too.
Thank you so much. There are two more questions, and there's one raised hand. Jayaprada has asked that how do you organize books in library, and is there any software, any automation library software that you use?
So books in my libraries are libraries arranged as fiction, non-fiction, and I use Destiny, the software for all the automation of my library books. Someone has also, I think, asked how many books do I have in the library,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I have some 20,000 plus books, but again, these are catering to earlier learners to grade 5. But I have an extensive picture book collection, non-fiction that is, so I have kept my non-fiction for earliers separate. The non-fiction text that is not very wordy, then that encourages them to pick a book and read. None of us would like to read a book which has got too many words. So separate your library accordingly. Keep your earlier learners collection such that it is really suitable for them, fiction as well as non-fiction.
Ankita, you can please unmute yourself to ask your question. And then there's one more question which says about the authors for early years. So after that, you can, Devika, you can
Yeah, sure.
just.
Hi,
Ankita.
Ankita.
Hi, Kuntal. Thank you. Hi, I just a quick question because you said you're open to issue books to your elementary children, your young ones. So I do it for my grade 2, and that's where I start. It gets
Okay.
difficult for me to ask them to get back the books, and they never return the book on time. And by the end of the year, it becomes a big task for me to call up the parent, write them emails, because
So,
sometimes they go unresponded. Children are saying, I lost the book, I can't.
okay. Hello.
Ankita, we can't hear you. I hope you can. Yeah. Maybe you can answer.
I
Ankita?
think I think she wanted to ask about how do she gives books to grade 2 up, and so basically, Ankita, what I do is I have a book bag for all my learners, and
No,
because
ma'am. My question was, how do you make sure they get the books back on time? Because my grade 2 children don't return the books on time, and by the end of the year, I have to call up the parent, email, take it up with the management, hold their whatever. As in, it becomes like a huge event getting the books back because they don't get the books back. So how do you ensure your such young ones ensure that books are back?
So I think here we need parents in on board in this because it's timetable. So my earlier learners, if it's on a Monday, we write. The homerooms are constantly writing to the parents. Book exchange is on
Okay.
Monday. Kindly ensure that the child brings the book bag. We have a dedicated book bag of a particular
Mhm.
size in which we put those books back. So they
Hmm.
bring those books back in that bag. So I think
Okay.
if you set up that kind of a routine, if you have it timetable, if you involve your homeroom teams to set a reminder a day in advance that please ensure tomorrow is book exchange, send the bag with your child, I think it will be more streamlined. So try doing that, Ankita, and I think it will work because it works for me. I do that every rotation I have.
Okay,
Uh,
because it's a CBSE school for us, and I'm the only one taking care of the book exchange, and there is no HRTs involved or the class teachers involved. It's just me, so I'm just trying to figure it out how to get the books back. They're excited to borrow, but no excitement to return.
Hi everyone. So, um,
Hi.
this is Rosanna from Library Solutions.
And we are over time now. Yeah, Rosanna.
Yes, and yeah,
Yes.
so I would like to take over from here. So, I'm here with a curated collection of books that we are to share in this session. And so let me share my screen.
Till then, I would just request if you have questions, you can email and that can go to Devika and maybe she can answer. Devika, you can just put answers on the chat right now if you wish to, till Rosanna presents the book thing. Yeah.
So is it visible? I hope it's visible.
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
Yeah, so at Library Solutions, we work closely with schools to build collections that are practical, engaging, and relevant for today's learners. And so in this session, I would like to share our Hall of Fame collection, which is a curated collection of books, and it's a selection of award-winning books which have won national and international recognition for both, um, you know, um, the authors and the books. So these books are curated based for readers on different age groups, and they are suitable for CBSE, ICSE, IB, Cambridge, and other curricula. And so these are some of the books in our collection. You can see different types of books there. Some of them have won Nobel Prize for Literature, the Pulitzer Prize, and um, uh, Parag Awards and Indian awards like the Sahitya Academy Award. And let me show you a list of awards that are included in the collection. So the collection includes both international and national awards. And I would like to introduce two books here. One is Brown Girl Dreaming. So it's a powerful autobiographical novel in verse that tells the story of the author's childhood as an African American girl growing up in the 1960s and 70s, navigating family, identity, race, and the civil rights movement. Through lyrical, accessible poems, the author Woodson beautifully captures how stories and books shaped her journey towards becoming a writer. Excuse me. Through lyrical, accessible poems, we get a picture of the life of the author in that particular period of time. So this is a winner of the National Book Award in USA and the Newbery Honor Book. And another one of our collection is The Lost Thing. Excuse me. So this is another book in our collection. So a richly illustrated picture book about a boy who discovers a strange, lonely creature that seems invisible to everyone else in a busy, indifferent city. As he searches for a place where it truly belongs, the story he searches for a place, so the story explores themes of empathy, belonging, and imagination, and noticing those who are overlooked. And this book has won the CBCA Picture Book of the Year award in Australia, and it's an animated. It has an animated adaptation, which later received an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. So it's widely regarded as a masterpiece of visual storytelling. So this would be a great addition to your library collection. And so this collection includes books. This collection includes books which are critically acclaimed and would be a great addition. And you could reach out to us for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosanna. Yes, so I think the queries, the books that we saw, you can really get in touch with Central Books. Please, the feedback form is here. Please give in your correct email ID, and we would really appreciate that, because then it becomes easy for Central Books to send you, Library Solutions to send you the certificates. Thank you so much, Devika, for this wonderful session. It was lovely. And in Connect with Devika session, we had wonderful books from Central Books and Library Solutions that they run. So please do connect with them for the book purchase, for more queries on books related to the sessions. And yes, thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. We wait for your feedback form and a good, so that the certificates could be sent. And yes, let's wait till the next session of Central Books in. See you. Have a lovely evening. Thank you, Devika. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we take a leave, and yes, please fill the form, and then we can, yeah. Thank you.